Hello, and welcome to California Gun Law. I'm your host, Don Hammond, a licensed California attorney and shooting instructor. I regularly help teach the 16-hour class that's required to get a concealed carry license in California. On this program, we provide education on California's complicated web of gun laws so the responsible gun owners can better understand how to lawfully exercise their rights. California has a complicated web of firearms laws and regulations, and there are a lot of traps for the unwary. We want to help you do it right so you don't need our criminal defense legal services. Today, I'm going to talk about the process of getting a CCW license in California so that you can carry a gun legally. First, a bit of history. It used to be very difficult to get a CCW license in California. Fortunately, that has changed. California used to have a good cause standard, meaning that you would have to show a good reason for needing to carry a gun. That went out the window in 2022 with the Bruin case in the United States Supreme Court. The court said that the Second Amendment draws no distinction between the right to carry a firearm for personal protection inside the home versus outside the home. Unfortunately, they also said that the state can have licensing laws, just not with a good cause requirement. After that, California still had a good moral character requirement, which was very subjective and open to interpretation. However, the state legislature removed the moral character requirement when it passed Senate Bill 2. Senate Bill 2 was the California legislature's response to the Bruin case. This new law completely overhauled California's CCW licensing process. It also made other changes to California gun laws, such as drastically increasing the number of sensitive places where a CCW licensee still can't carry a gun. Much of that is on hold, and we'll address that in a future episode. Senate Bill 2 took effect on January 1st, 2024, and it made California a shall issue state for CCW licenses, if you meet certain criteria. That's right, shall issue. They can't deny your license if you meet the criteria. This means that the vast majority of Californians should qualify for a CCW license. The requirements for a license are outlined in Penal Code sections 26150 and 26155. These two sections are identical, but they apply to different kinds of licensing authorities. 26150 applies to county sheriff's departments. Section 26155 applies to municipal or local police chiefs. Either way, the requirements include that you be at least 21 years of age, that you are a resident of the area served by the issuing agency, you complete a 16-hour training course, you're the recorded owner of the pistol that you plan to carry. That's right, the first step is to lawfully own a pistol. You can't get a CCW license unless you lawfully own the pistol that you plan to carry. If you have questions about how to buy your first firearm, check out our recent video on that topic. The final requirement for issuance of a license is that you are not disqualified under Penal Code Section 26202. Okay, so what are the disqualifications in Section 26202, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. The most general and subjective disqualifying factor is, quote, reasonably likely to be a danger to self, others, or the community at large. That's a pretty general and subjective factor, but I haven't seen issuing agencies abusing that too much, and we've gotten judges to overturn some denials on these grounds. We'll talk about that process in a future video. The rest of the statute in 26202 is much more specific. It includes certain specified criminal convictions, being subject to a restraining order within the last 5 years preceding the application, currently abusing controlled substances, losing multiple firearms in the last 10 years, failing to report the loss of a firearm as required by law, or having engaged in the unlawful or reckless use, display, or brandishing of a firearm. So if you haven't done any of those things and none of these disqualifying factors apply to you, you should be good to go. So go apply for your CCW license. How exactly you do that depends on where you live. In some California counties, the county sheriff handles all CCW license applications. In other counties, the local police departments handle applications. Many sheriffs and police departments are using an online vendor such as Permitium or MyCCW. Other agencies require you to submit a paper application. So do a Google search for CCW application and the name of your local jurisdiction, and the right information should pop right up. The fee to apply varies greatly from about $100 to around $400, depending on the issuing agency. Be sure to answer all questions on the application completely honestly. The application asks if you've ever been arrested. It doesn't matter if the arrest was 30 years ago and it's been expunged or sealed, they will find it. So be completely upfront to avoid problems down the line. It is a crime to knowingly give false information on the application. And one of the most common reasons for denial we see is false information on the application, which I don't think is a valid reason for denial, but we'll deal with that separately. It's better to give the complete, correct information up front than to have to fight with them down the line because they think you tried to hide something. The application asks about traffic accidents and citations in the last 5 years, and mental health treatment, including evaluations under Welfare and Institutions Code Section 5150. So if any of that applies, put it on the application. The application asks about whether you've ever been involved in a domestic violence incident. I've seen some police departments interpret that to mean that you must list if you've been a victim of domestic violence. So that's an easy trap if you've been a victim to not say, yes, I've been a party to a domestic violence. So answer it honestly to avoid problems down the line. During the application process, you'll provide 3 references: the make and model and serial number of the gun or guns that you want to carry, and at least one of the references that you list is supposed to be a spouse or a cohabitant if that is applicable. After you answer all questions honestly and submit your application, the waiting begins. Depending on where you applied, the wait may only be a few weeks, or it may be more than a year. I know, ridiculous. You're supposed to get a preliminary determination within 90 days. There's litigation ongoing regarding the long delays with a few agencies, including the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. So hopefully we'll get some progress on that soon. The agency will call your 3 references to verify that they don't think you'll be dangerous with a gun. They're also supposed to review publicly available information. Think social media. So be careful that you don't have Facebook videos out there of yourself waving guns around that are going to give people doubts about your ability to safely and lawfully carry a gun. Some agencies will also require a psychological evaluation at your expense. Some will go 50-50 on it with you, but most of them will make you pay for it entirely. They usually use a psychologist that they use to do police evaluations for new police officers, and they're usually not trying to trip you up. So if you do have to do a psych eval, try to just relax, be honest, and get through it unscathed. After you're preliminarily cleared, you'll have to get a live scan, and the agency will give you the green light to do the 16-hour training class. A good class includes a lot of great information about tactics, carrying methods, and legal requirements. It will also include a qualification with each gun that you want to list on your license. Different agencies have different qualifications requirements, but none of them are terribly difficult. After the class, you turn in your training certificate to the issuing agency, and it shouldn't be long after that. You'll get a call saying it's time to pick up your shiny new CCW license. If you're denied for some reason, you can request a hearing in court under Penal Code Section 26206. I've handled a number of those, and that will be the subject of a future episode. I hope this video gives you a good overview of the process to get your California CCW license. Many people hear about the long wait times and decide not to even apply. Well, the sooner you apply, the sooner you can legally carry a gun. And I can't advise illegally carrying a gun because part of SB 2 was to create a 10-year firearm prohibition for people who are convicted of illegally carrying a gun, even as a misdemeanor. So get that application in so you can legally carry with pride. I'm Don Hammond at California Gun Law, and we'll catch you all next time.